Good morning. Happy Monday morning.
Hello, everyone.
So we're back this morning for Monday morning chats, and this morning's topic is the power of language, which is super uh, key to my heart. And I guess I've
You
spent
seem
my
so excited about it.
I know. And I guess I've spent, my entire adult life working with the power of language and transformational change that happens through the spoken word. So yes, I'm very keen to dive on in, but if you're joining us live, please say hello and where you're joining us from. We'd love to, we'd love to say hi. And yeah, and also today we're opening up our VIP chats. So for anyone live with us, you also have the opportunity to jump on at the end with us as well. So Nicolette is just sorting us out online, sharing everything.
Do you want to start, seeing as your this is your bag? I mean, I've got plenty to add, but
Oh, this
Lead us
is
off.
such a monster for me. It's kind of like, where do I start? Um, so I guess the very first thing when I think about the power of language is that words and language represent someone's inner world. And if words represent someone's inner world, they're actually the portal into that, where you actually get to understand who they are at a far deeper level if we take the time to listen and actually tune into what they're saying. Because I find one of people's traps in communicating is that they get so caught on thinking, okay, what am I going to say next? That they miss the opportunity to actually be really present. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I always prefer to speak last, because I'm greedy in wanting to understand what's going on for everyone else first. So Nicolette, now that you've made me start, would you
Actually, just before we jumped on, I had a download about this topic, and if you jump on my stories, you'll be able to see it. I'll read it. I'll read it from here. So my reminder for people today is that your words take your energy from inside you out into the world. The pitch at which you speak, the intention that you have behind the words, it's all felt as the vibration of your soul, resonating with those at the same vibration. Who do you want to attract, and how will you use your words today? So that all sort of came to me as a realization. As always, these topics bring downloads for me in the night before and morning before about my own experience of the topic, and my own experience of language is observing myself in how I relate to others with their language, and observing others at how they relate to me, and who I'm actually, because it's like you're setting out your web of energy, right, with what you're projecting out with your mouth, uh and who is drawn towards that is really interesting. And I actually I get, if I live with quite a lot of people and children and adults in this house, and when people are speaking negatively to each other, I actually I have to move away, and I choose to not be um in that energy as little as possible. Anyway, for me, that's my, I like to be in the
Yeah,
positivity.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the key thing there is about that level of awareness, because often when people are caught in that negativity, they're caught in judgment. And it's the judgment of either themselves or someone around them or what's going on that at biological level indicates, unless it is other, I'm not safe. So this really gets to that heart of, how big is my awareness? How expanded can my concepts of self others, the world, and self within the world be, in knowing that I'm safe for things to operate as they do, not as I've been taught they should. And for me, if you pay attention to people's language, they will tell you all about their beliefs of how things should be, opposed to how they actually are. Because when people have started to wrangle with as things actually are, which is what we're talking about here, which is the nature of the universe itself, the energetic frequencies, and how you can exist harmoniously with that. Or if your awareness hasn't expanded to that point, all of your awareness is actually going to butt up against the natural laws, cause you suffering, and you will continue to go around the same loop of how things should be rather than how they are. So for me, the reason why words are so integral to everything is because it represents your level of consciousness and how harmoniously you operate within the world according to universal law.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that words and using our words and our voice brings up for me is the ability to heal ourselves through getting it out. So I'm not saying if you have negative thoughts and feelings to keep them in all the time. There's times and places for that to actually leave your body through that process. So I'm a very outward processor. Like I encourage my clients to do the same thing. If something's going on for you, either speak it or write it down. In healing sessions, I'll get people to actually verbalize what is going on and let it out. So if you want to say F the universe, sometimes that's necessary to actually release that out of your body and then settle back into how you want to be showing up in the world on a day-to-day basis. So that was the other thing that I had in my awareness about it.
Completely. And yeah, I'm not surprised that you bring that up, because that was one of the key things that I'd been reflecting on as well, in that there's an irony between the process of needing to speak out your inner truth, including the demons, because whenever they're within us, that's where they hold their weight and their power. It's when they remain in darkness that they are so much bigger that the conscious mind goes, I can't wrangle with that. As soon as they've been verbalized and put into structure, some kind of form, now you can see it for what it is. And whenever it's out, the mind goes, oh, is that all it was? And you also have the beauty of other people reflecting back to you. That's okay. That makes sense. And it's totally manageable. And at the same time, acknowledging that, of course, that particular belief or circumstance would cause pain or suffering. So it has to be both. It has to be reflected back that you're safe, and it makes sense that it's felt like this, and there's a way forward. And so for me, it's that same point of, yes, allowing what feels chaotic within you to be verbalized, so it's in a manageable space. And then also once those things have been released, you start operating differently, because what you have learned about yourself is I can cope. And it's through that I can cope and that self-knowledge that's when our vibration actually starts to rise, and those things don't interrupt our frequency as much. So as you begin to rise and take mastery of your own inner world, that's where that negativity or judgment starts to lose hooking power, because you've actually gotten to a point where you recognize, one, it's a judgment, two, it's a bias, and three, I'm not actually better off by being in that and I know the alternative. Because if you're hooked by judgment, you can know that it's causing you suffering, which will come out in your words. However, often when people are caught in judgment, they haven't come into contact with the concept or the version of self that's capable of letting that go and letting that be safe, irrespective of where they are. Does that make sense?
If you are caught in judgment, that means that you are also very sensitive of other people judging you, which is where the hooking comes in. So if I tell you my truth and you feel triggered by it, and then I feel judgment from you, I'm going to say less of my truth, and then the spiral goes meh.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you can surround yourself with people who are able to listen and allow you to verbalize what's going on for you without judgment, then that gives you a safe place to land, and it makes you it helps you to rise to that next level of vibration, because you're not constantly being hooked in the, are they judging me, am I judging myself, and then all of that stuff is going on.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful. And that's such a good point about language being a trigger, because it's those trigger points again that will give you access into you and into your subconscious software, essentially, that you're running out. Because if you think about language as operating a massive filing cabinet in your brain or in your mind rather, every word has its own file. And within that file is all the associated words, all the associated meanings, and all the associated experience. And I was also reflecting on this morning, and one of the words that I realized gave me access to me early on, this was shortly after my master's experience, and the word was peace. And you know, I haven't really ever mentioned too much. However, you know, based on my father's brain injury, my grandmother had a very long battle with dementia. There were circumstances throughout various life experiences, both professionally and personally, that, you know, by any measure of justice weren't okay. And hence why that word peace was such a trigger for me, because when my conscious mind recognized that I wasn't in inner peace, and that peace was even a possibility for me to exist in, it made me cry. So hence, it was the portal in, it was the access in to my own level of suffering and what I had yet to process or make sense of, i.e. these ideas of injustice or what isn't fair, i.e. tragedy and circumstances that by any measure are not okay. And so when you come into contact with that, of course, your system is going to butt up against that and go, well, what's going on here? And then it was the recognition, that peace was an option that gave me my North Star. Because if I knew that it was a potential, it meant that it was something that I could start moving towards. And it's the recognition, what do I need to let go of? What ideas, what judgments do I need to let go of? And what do I need to embody? And how do I need to relate to myself first and foremost, that gives me an inner world of peace?
And as you're saying that, I'm thinking that when you heard the word peace and you started thinking about the concept of feeling inner peace, there's this story that comes up of, well, how can I possibly feel peace with all this stuff going on? You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
How was
this
that even
doesn't
a
feel
thing?
peaceful.
So therefore you reject the idea of peace because it doesn't make sense to you in that with the prior experiences.
Mm. What? Yes, and it was the recognition that I didn't have it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was the recognition that that it felt so foreign to me that that brought about a sense of sadness
Mm.
because life circumstances had been such that I wasn't existing there.
Mm.
And then it's the acknowledgement that I had given over the power of my inner world to circumstances outside of myself.
Mm.
And so hence where I'm going with all of this is that your language and what you get triggered by in terms of language outside of you will be the indicator inward
Mm.
as to what is yet to be processed, what needs to be housed in a safe enough and big enough philosophy that you're actually safe with what is, not with how you expect things to be.
Mm.
And that is big expansion work, that I can safely house all the circumstances that operate in my world and in the world at a bigger level, and keep my sense of peace and wholeness and safety irrespective of what's going on around me. Because and that's when we come back to being in creation mode, because there's solid grounding underneath your feet irrespective of what's going on, and then we set our intention on the highest possible outcome we want to see happen, and then you start communicating in that way, and then that provides a feedback loop of creating it and bringing it to you whilst you go about executing it yourself.
I often experience, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well, when I'm in conflict with someone and they say certain words, the words that trigger me will repeat in my mind like in the days following, day after day after day. And what I do in that scenario is I catch the words and I say to myself, this is just a story that I have attached to these words, and I actually imagine flicking them out of my energy field and acknowledging that it's something that's happened in my past that's associated with those words, that's bringing up that feeling again of feeling unsafe or unloved or unrecognized, whatever the feeling is. And no, I have the ability to do all those things for myself. I don't actually need anyone else to validate me, and then that allows me to let go of the story that's attached to those words, and keep on moving forward without getting hooked by them and without going into that spiral of that the conflict could have led me in.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And it's such a powerful point because it's the recognition that it's my perception of that's causing me suffering,
Yeah.
rather than the thing itself. So in allowing those words that weren't even generated yourself to exit, or recognize that that's someone else's set of perceptions, and that's okay, they're entitled to their set of perceptions, and being able to have that higher order lens of, is their set of perceptions causing them inner peace or suffering? Because that's going to be a pretty good indication as to, if I hold on to that, will that give me inner peace or suffering?
That's right. That's right.
So if we bring this down to a more practical level, where would you encourage people to start with wrangling with the power of language?
I would start at those trigger words, um, and start to really tune into where is the origin of the trigger and why is it having that effect on you, and perhaps even go to the point of, if a person is saying words that trigger you, you can actually talk to them about it and say, look, this really affected me. I think this is the reason why, but it made me feel X, Y, Z. And that then gives them the opportunity to say, oh, I totally didn't mean it that way. Or maybe they did mean it that way, but at least at least the truth is aired and the story is you're able to let go of it. So that would be the first thing is work out what your trigger words are. Listen to people who are around you. Like you were saying, you know, a lot of people are just thinking about what they're going to say next instead of actually tuning into what people around them are saying. Listen to what people are saying around you, and do you resonate with it? And are you surrounding yourself with people who speak in a high vibrational way or speak in a positive way, or are they just trying to connect with you through misery? Because the more misery we speak and the more misery other people speak, the more we sit in that lower vibrational state, and because we feel bonded, right? But it's not actually getting us it's not actually getting us towards our dreams and our potential and our so really tune into what you're surrounded with language, and then you can start to be the observer of how are you using your language, and start to catch yourself when you're and the Aussie way is to we pay out on each other all the time, right? So we're constantly putting each other down or speaking in a negative way, which is the intention is for it to be a joke, but it's not always felt that way. Yeah, so watch how you're speaking, and start to say words by yourself like I am light, I am love, I am divine expression, whatever that is for you. That might all sound a bit woo-woo and a bit like, oh, Nikki's floating around in the clouds today, but they actually have an effect on your body when you verbalize high vibrational words like that.
Yes, because they have a frequency. They are of a frequency, and again, it is actually about allowing that feedback loop. Because when you claim something like I am love, it means that there's no separation between me and it and me, because I am the thing, which then means you start operating at that frequency, and frequencies are felt. So when that's your place of operation, people will experience you without the words. But then when your words are of that frequency, because that is the nature at which you operate, that's when everything becomes magnetic, clicks in, because now it becomes a shared experience that they have access to. So the language is how we get ourselves there, and then how we share the experience for more unity, for more tribe. And it is just about that constant reflection of going, what words are hooking me, sweeping me away, causing me to notice that my sense of self within the world, and then the universe as well. Because in order to operate from that place of love and light, which is often spoken about in more spiritual circles, what they have purposefully cultivated is a belief system about the universe that gives them a sense of peace, place, and purpose. Super important. So in terms, yes. So in terms of safely housing your experiences, it will require the expansion of your own belief system to go, if I were to consciously create my beliefs, what would give me a sense of peace, place, and purpose, not only within the world, but within the universe? Because that's when you start playing at the energetic frequency level. And that's when things start to happen for you because you become the cause, not the effect of the cause. So that's really where you see people start to take their power back. And it's going to be language that gives you access into that map. It's going to be language that continues on that path. And it's going to be language that signals to others who you are and how well to define your concept of who you are is.
So the question is, how do you want to show up?
Mm.
And how is your language putting that out into the world?
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we have 2 minutes left. Asha and I are super excited. We have set up a private group for a membership program that allows anyone who is really resonating with these topics but would like to talk to us about it in a group setting, in a live setting straight after this podcast. We've set this group up so that you can come in, and for $29 a month, you can literally have our attention for half an hour every week after the podcast. But if you are interested in this and just want to get a feel for it, you can jump in today for free and just comment below or send us a message on Facebook, and I will send you the Zoom link after we jump off this live, and you can join us and we can have a chat about language.
Beautiful. Well, yes, we look forward to seeing you, and thanks for tuning in for this week. Like I said, massively important topic, and it probably won't be the last time we
I feel like
canvass it.
there's going to be a round 2 and maybe a round 3.
All right. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.